God, like, there's not a whole lot I can say on that, because, like, that sounds like a really, really tough situation to be in, and I'm really thankful. I've never been there. I can't imagine that would be an easy choice for anybody to make at that point.
Right.
Like, I would say they must have good reasons. I don't know. I trust the person making the decision is making what's best for them. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying that I think that's great and do what you want, but also do what you want.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, maybe you'll be YouTube famous now. Probably not. First of all, I'm Nate. What's your name?
Alex.
Alex. Alex, or?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. And what are you doing here in the park today?
Just taking the dog for a walk.
Yep.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's perfect outside. Do you come here a lot?
No, I don't. I live downtown, so it's kind of a hike out here. But
yeah, it is. I live kind of north of town, so it's a little way. I'm not really too super close to any parks, but this is a perfect day to be out here. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Were there any of those topics that you saw on the board that you want to talk about, or something else?
Yeah, I mean, any of them.
Okay, well, I don't want to pick one for you, so if you want to look at them again, if there's anything that you think sounds the most interesting, or maybe something that you feel like you feel strongly about.
I'll talk about abortion.
Okay, it's been in the news a lot recently, so okay, so that'll be our topic, and I guess the question I have on there is, should it be legal or not? So how do you feel about that? What's your initial reaction to that question?
I think abortion should absolutely be legal.
Okay, abortion should be legal.
Yes.
All right.
Safe access to abortion everywhere.
Cool. All right. And something generally do when starting these conversations out is kind of gauge your confidence in that. Like, so this could be on like a scale from like 0 to 100, where it's like 0, I'm not sure at all, and 100, I'm absolutely certain, or you could go 0 to 10 or whatever. So if you think about, okay, how confident am I that abortion should be legal? Where do you feel like you are?
100%.
100%. Okay, absolutely certain. All right, cool. So I guess the first question is, why do you think that? Why do you think abortion should be legal? 100%.
I think that making it illegal is not going to stop abortions. It's just going to stop safe abortions in a medical facility where they should be happening. Okay. Yeah, I think abortion should be legal for any purpose.
For any purpose, okay. Maybe we should explore that a little bit when you say for any purpose. Can you clarify a little bit what you mean by that?
Whether it's like a medically necessary procedure or whether it's somebody's choice, I think the reason doesn't really matter. Okay, gotcha.
So there are lots of like governments, both in the past here or other places around the country or around the world, that have certain restrictions on it. Do you think there shouldn't be any restrictions whatsoever, or should there be some restrictions in certain cases?
I don't know how you can have a restriction on some and not others, like when it comes to something like this.
Okay, so no restrictions whatsoever. Okay. I'm going to jot that down, okay, just so I make sure that I don't lose any of this.
Maybe misunderstood the question.
Okay, so for example, like in many places you could get an abortion for any reason, no restrictions whatsoever, up until like 16 weeks in the pregnancy or 20 weeks in the pregnancy.
Oh,
they have certain cutoff times. Sorry if I wasn't clear, that's my fault.
Okay.
So do you have thoughts on that?
I don't honestly really know a whole lot. I've never had a baby. I've never been pregnant, so I don't like really know how that works like medically.
Okay.
I mean, are you like I don't really know how restrictions would work medically, but like personally, I think it should be left up to like medical professionals is what I'm trying to say basically.
Okay, so
Like, I don't really have a say. Hi.
hello. All right, dogs got to say hi to each other.
Yeah,
That's important.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You're okay. It's okay. He's okay.
Okay, so
A little exciting.
So I guess that comes kind of back to the whole, because the question is phrased as like a legal thing. So is that maybe kind of an idea here that's in your head about, maybe there could be some sort of restrictions, but not like from the government, or it shouldn't be a law sort of thing. It should be like up to the physicians and the woman?
Yeah, that's a great way to phrase it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So then, are there any situations, I know you said you don't know that much about, some of maybe the biology of it or whatever, right?
The science part.
So this is just, I'm going to kind of push back with like a kind of extreme case, and I just want to get your thoughts on it, okay? Not trying to like trap you or like gotcha or anything like that. But let's say we have somebody who, a woman's carrying a baby and she's 39 weeks pregnant and she could deliver any time.
What's the math? How many months?
40 weeks is like the general gestational term. Yeah. So almost ready. The baby is like fully developed. And she's not in any sort of like health risk. Should there be a restriction preventing her from getting an abortion?
And the reason for getting an abortion is what?
Like if she just decides she doesn't want the baby anymore. This is an extreme. I don't know if this ever happens. I would be surprised if it does. But like, let's just say that we had that sort of situation. How would you feel about that?
There's not a whole lot I can say on that because like that sounds like a really, really tough situation to be in, and I'm really thankful. I've never been there. I can't imagine that would be an easy choice for anybody to make at that point.
Right.
I would say they must have good reasons. I don't know. I trust the person making the decision is making what's best for them. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying that I think that's great and do what you want, but also do what you want.
All right.
I don't know if it can be safely done at that point, what a doctor would recommend at that point. Like,
yeah.
I think I'd take that into consideration.
All right. So this is just...
It's okay.
I'm just wondering, like, what do you think somebody who maybe would say that it shouldn't be legal at that point, like in this kind of extreme situation, what reasons do you think they might have for saying, no, we shouldn't allow her to get an elective abortion at 39, a week before the baby's due, sort of thing? What sort of reasons do you think they might have for thinking the other way?
Yeah. Probably some personal reasons. Maybe that would just be hard morally for some people.
Okay.
Maybe it goes back to also safety. Like, I don't know what the procedure would be like at that point. So I don't know how that would work.
Okay.
Physically. But like this goes back to what we talked about earlier was I don't think it should be in politics or legal or anything like that. Like it shouldn't be that anyway. So at that point, it should just be a total medical decision and medical considerations. Gotcha.
So if I don't want to change exactly what the claim is, but I'm wondering maybe because I think this is common with this topic, is people kind of can be talking about two different things, right? On one side, you're talking about like the law, and the other side, you're kind of talking about, I think you said like what's the right thing to do and what's moral. You mentioned like a morality kind of thing there. So if we had two different claims, one of them, it should be legal. You said you're at 100% on that. If we had a different claim where it was, it's moral or it's okay to get an elective abortion at like 39 weeks, how do you feel about that? Are you still at 100% there, or would you be somewhere very different?
I think I have no right in judging somebody else's journey and experiences, so... Okay. I don't know what I would say is right or wrong. I live right or wrong by myself, and... Sorry, Nancy.
It's all right.
Come here. You're okay. Just get Nancy.
Yeah. And we don't have to go for too much longer. It's okay. Okay, so kind of, you don't want to judge somebody else and their decisions or something like that.
Yeah, because I think morals are pretty personal. Like,
Okay.
I mean, granted, most of us have a lot of the same shared morals, like what's right and what's wrong. Like, there's some big ones that I think most people are on the same page with.
Okay.
But, like, I think they're on the same page for all their own reasons. We're not all on the same page for something because we all think the exact same thing. So I think it's on a spectrum, just like most things.
Yeah. This is another like kind of hypothetical, kind of another extreme example. I'm just, once again, trying to get your thought, trying to really kind of pin down how you're evaluating these. Let's say a woman has a baby, and the next day she decides she doesn't want a baby. Should it be legal or moral to kill that baby then?
No.
Okay. You can explain that, or if you feel like it doesn't need to be explained, that's fine.
I just think that's a totally different topic from abortion at that point.
Okay. What is the big difference between a baby that was just born yesterday and, let's say, a baby that's going to be born tomorrow?
Like, scientifically, or you just mean...
To you, what do you... Because when I asked earlier, like, do you think that's moral? You said that you wouldn't judge, right? But then when we changed it to it was born yesterday, it was born the day before, you said no, they shouldn't be allowed to, right? Or it would be, would you say that would be immoral? To kill the baby out the day after it's been born?
Yes. At that point, it would be. Yeah, I think that would be committing a crime.
Okay.
I mean, that's always like been the case.
Okay. Does morality depend on what the law is?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think it works really nicely if your morals line up with all the laws.
It'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
That's like the perfect ideal
Although,
world.
it's probably impossible. We can't please everybody, right?
There's a reason why people commit crimes. Their morals are different than the law. So.
Yeah. So I'm still kind of curious, like, where, if it's not because of the law, is there a difference between killing the fetus the day before it would be born versus killing it the day after?
I think once it's born, it's no longer a fetus.
Right, right. Yes, at that point it would be a newborn infant, right? The technical
baby.
terms, yeah.
And so I guess it depends on like your definition too of like.
Yeah.
I think some of the arguments with pro-life are that it's a baby from conception, or that's life from conception.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of like the opposite extreme of kind of where we are, right? Yeah. So,
I mean, the day before a baby's born, she's still a part of a woman's body. So it is different, but I personally would have a really hard time with that. Like, even if it was me, if it was a friend of mine, if they decided to get rid of the baby the day before birth, like that would be
Yeah, I know you said you
tragic.
I know you said you don't want to judge, but I think it's natural to, have these moral intuitions.
I can have emotions without judging, without telling someone whether they made a right or wrong decision for them. Because if we're just speaking morally, obviously, if that is the law right now, I believe. Right now it's across the board illegal, but it's always been illegal after a certain point.
Yeah, at least in this state, there are still exceptions.
You're okay. I know.
As of whenever they passed that law most recently, but it's definitely illegal. And honestly, they just changed the law, so I don't know. But I think we can put the law side of it maybe aside for now. And I know that was the original thing, was should it be legal? And we can come back to that. But now we're kind of just talking about whether it's right or wrong, I guess, right? Yeah. So, do you feel like you do feel differently about the day after versus day before.
Yeah.
Do you still feel differently about that? Or have you shifted on that at all?
I would say I think one feels worse and more wrong than the other. I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong.
Okay.
They're just at different places on
one does feel
the
a little
spectrum.
more wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
and we're talking about at that point where we're literally talking about the day before, the day after. So.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, bumping the table.
I'm wondering if somebody feels like they're not different. Let's say we had a third person, Judy. All right, we can call her Judy. And Judy says, no, I think that it's wrong and should be illegal
Okay.
both the day before or the day after or maybe even a week before. Why do you think Judy might feel that way? Because there are people like Judy, right, who feel that way. What do you think her reasons might be for not really seeing them as different, but seeing them as kind of the same?
I think that's totally valid. Like, I understand it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
What are her reasons?
Right, we're
what
not.
might her reasons be?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not saying that Judy's thoughts or feelings are invalid or anything like that, or do we have to necessarily validate them? I'm just wondering if we try to put ourselves in Judy's shoes, what would she say
Well, yeah.
her reasons for that might be?
Up to like a week before birth or whatever you said.
Yeah, she's saying that, a week before or the day after or the day before, that's all the same, it's all wrong. And maybe Judy even thinks maybe a month before, right? But Judy doesn't think that there's a big difference between, whether it's still in the womb or whether it's out of the womb. Why do you think Judy might think there's not much of a difference there?
Probably because she believes life begins at conception. I mean, at that point, there is a point where the fetus becomes viable on its own. And at that point, you're killing a viable being.
All right, two different terms. Maybe we need to clarify those terms. So I just want to make sure I understand the words you're saying, because you said conception, but you also said viability, right? Generally, what people mean by conception is like fertilization, like egg meets sperm.
Right.
Viability is usually something later, like 24, 26 weeks.
I don't know exactly where, but it's at the point when it can live on its without the hope.
Yeah,
or the body.
So is it possible maybe Judy thinks once it can live on its own, then it's like a person?
Yeah.
And maybe you're killing a person at that point? What do you think about if Judy said that?
I would think, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, because there are a lot of different positions people can have on this. And yeah, there are clearly those people who are way at one end, right? Who say life begins at conception, and if you even in vitro fertilization is murder. You're murdering embryos or something like that, right? There's people on that end, and then there are people who say,
was that a bike?
Maybe that was a branch falling off that tree.
I thought somebody crashed a bike for a
Yeah,
second.
now I'm worried.
Yeah, whoa, that's scary.
And then there are people kind of on the other extreme, though, who would say something like, it's okay, you can terminate the pregnancy, you can kill the fetus the day before it's due, right? And those are kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum. And then I guess there's even people, I don't know if these people exist, but maybe there'd be people who say, you can kill a kid as long as it's not 1 year old or something like that.
Wow.
It sounds crazy, but lots of people are, I don't want to say crazy, but there are people with lots of opinions out there, right? So there are those kind of extremes, and then there might be people space in the middle as well. I'm wondering, does Judy necessarily have to be all the way at that extreme, or could Judy be somewhere in the middle, you think?
I'm trying to make sure I'm following.
Sorry, I know this is kind of confusing. We keep
so,
talking about Judy and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, because I think sometimes we're getting away from abortion. Because I think of abortion as the termination of a pregnancy.
Right.
I don't think of it as the termination of the child.
Okay.
So the up till a year after they're born, like that doesn't make sense to me, because at that point, yeah, of course
Right.
it's murder.
Yeah. And yeah. Okay. Yeah, we don't necessarily think about it.
They're no longer it's not about a pregnancy anymore. It's about
Right.
killing the human.
Yeah. I guess then the
So,
question would be like, is it
Judy?
yeah, like is it a human person like when it comes out of the birth canal,
Right.
or was it also a human person when it was like 10 seconds before it came out of the birth canal?
Yeah, 10 seconds before, yeah.
Okay.
But at some point,
Yeah. So
I think that goes back to like viability.
okay,
again.
so viability. So do you feel like that viability, which once again, I have a background in biology, but I'm not like
wow.
I'm not like a OBGYN.
Okay,
I'm not a specialist in this field. So do you think maybe that viability place might be somewhere where our moral intuitions change or not?
Yeah, I'm sure that plays a role in a lot of people's brains, morals, and everything.
Okay. Do you think that that's... I know it's not necessarily a discrete line, but do you feel like that might also be something where you feel like your moral intuitions change? Maybe.
Probably,
Okay.
because, yeah, I definitely feel like there's a huge difference between an abortion at the day before someone's due
Right.
than there is at 6
Yeah.
weeks or whatever on the timeline.
And I'm pretty sure an abortion the day before, we just call that an induction, and she delivers the baby.
Yeah, I don't think
anybody's
at that
killing
point
a baby.
anyone's going to recommend that.
Yeah, you're not going to find a doctor who's going to be okay with
no
that, I
one's
don't
gonna be
think.
doing
Yeah.
that.
So it's kind of what, I think there's a technical term for it, like an argument ad absurdum or something like that. It's like taking things to kind of like their like crazy limits or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But it can be useful to kind of like feel out what exactly it is that's making us feel a certain way or think a certain way.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. So, I guess we kind of talked about two different things, which is probably my fault for like kind of getting distracted. One of them, the main question that was on the board was, should abortion be legal in all cases? And you said like in all cases, and you were saying yes, 100%. Where do you still feel like you're at 100% there? Or do you feel like that might have changed?
Yeah, because I guess before, even when I said this all before, I was thinking in my head, like, the viability came into play with that, like, and medical considerations and recommendations. Like,
Yeah.
I would always defer to a medical professional in any sort of that's why, like, I guess it does get confusing when you're talking about, like, legality, because to me they shouldn't exist together.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want the government making healthcare decisions for people.
No.
Does that make sense?
In a perfect world, no.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that moral intuition.
Yeah.
So you still feel like you're like at 100% on that one. But the other one was, is it moral? And we didn't get a percentage on this one, but if the claim was abortions are always moral, no matter what or no matter when, where do you think you are there?
Like always, when you say always moral, or what do you mean by moral? Like, you mean morally good?
Yeah, like morally good. Like they'd be morally acceptable, or
okay.
Like not immoral.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my morality on the subject does like shift through a spectrum throughout like the term.
Okay.
Like, I guess we'll call it like the pregnancy term. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think
like
at some point it becomes kind of like harder for me to swallow, but that doesn't mean I need to tell somebody else how to live their life. Like, you know, if a medical professional says, yeah, we can do that, or you should do that, you know, it's going to be, oh, that sucks, but do what's best for you.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that feelings change throughout. Maybe at conception, you feel one way. Day before, moments before birth, feel a different way.
Yes.
And then there's that place somewhere in there that, you know, we're not necessarily
I mean, I imagine
obstetricians, so we don't know maybe where the line is, but there's some gray areas somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like, like just crawls up the spectrum. Like, I mean, it sucks in all cases. Like, I don't like hearing that anything didn't get to experience life, or, you know.
Right.
But
yeah. No, I mean,
that's because I'm
unfortunate things
experiencing
happen,
life
so.
and I have a pretty good life. So it's like, yeah, of course I want.
Oh my goodness, sour cream. You're excited. All right, cool. Well,
She's shaking it.
Alex, how do you, she's ready to go. How do you feel like this conversation went?
It was good. I mean, it was
Good.
fine.
Okay. Maybe a little less contentious than other discussions you've had on this topic before?
It definitely never felt like an argument or anything like that.
Cool.
Which is,
that's my goal. So
yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I have, like I said, I started a YouTube channel, so I got a little card here for you. If you want it, you can check it out. What I'm doing is a technique called street epistemology. Fancy way of basically saying, talking to people about the things that they believe and why they believe it and exploring those together.
Oh.
So.
Oh, I thought she was getting into something.
Oh, no, we're okay. Do you want
Awesome.
do you want a water or any kind of drink or anything like that?
I have some in my car, but
Okay,
thank you.
cool. Awesome. Well, Alex, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, here. Sorry. Thanks so
Nice
much for
meeting
talking to me.
you.
It was nice meeting you.
Have you ever heard of the Human Library?
The Human Library. That sounds kind of familiar. I might have to check. Is it a
Check
YouTube?
it out. It's an international organization, and there's one here in a chapter here in Fort Wayne, and they're basically like, they kind of bring all sorts of different people together who have all different stories, like, and then you can sit down with, they call them books, that's why it's called the Human Library, because the humans are the books.
Oh, really?
And you can sit down and check out a book, and you get to have a conversation with them, and you can ask some questions, and the book might give you some questions that are off limits, but otherwise they're like, sure, I'm an open book, you can ask me whatever about who I am.
Oh, that is so cool. That could be a really cool opportunity thing to pair with this, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I will definitely look into that.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
should.
Alex.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Good
See you,
luck.
sour cream.
Bye.
Bye. That was cool. I definitely stumbled my way through parts of that and changed directions, but there are a lot of different ways to think about that topic, and the sticky note I had on there was kind of a narrow view of it, so I think I helped there. And I think it's important to be patient and understanding with people, because if you just took like a short, tiny clip of like one of the things she said at one point, you might be like aghast at maybe kind of how she was thinking about it initially. But I think that I helped her think a little bit more about it, and she wound up in a different place. Not with the legality thing. She didn't change there, but I think maybe when feeling out like the morality of the situation, she shifted. She seemed to shift during the conversation. Traffic. Sorry. All right. That was good.